Hello, hello, teamfortress.tv. I am a guest, as referenced by the bottom. This would be me, guest. And with me is Mr. SLIN.
Hey, Avast. Sorry to do that to you, man. We're on time today, 7:30. Dang. Where does the time go? So welcome, guys and girls, to Team Fortress TV. This is Season 21 of ESEA-Invite, and we're casting 2 matches tonight. My name is Mr. SLIN, Avast here, my co-caster, and Marblr, our cameraman. And the first match is going to be froyotech versus Bird Noises, followed immediately by Ascent versus Team Solo Uber. But let's talk about this first match here, Avast, because I am pumped for some sick Team Fortress 2 action tonight.
I am also very, very pumped, Mr. Slinjamin Button. I'm looking forward to this second match of the invite season between the new and reformed Froyo, with some old names, but a lot of newer-ish names, and Bird Noises, a new team to invite.
Yeah, a new team to invite, and they recently have a new medic too, an Indust. And it's weird, Avast. I don't know if you made any preseason predictions, but I was looking at them earlier on in the offseason thinking, yeah, they're not going to do so well. But now that they picked up Indust, they're actually a really strong contender, being one of the top 4 teams in invite this season. So this is a really close match. Like both of these matches will be very close, and we're watching what could potentially be the top 4 teams in North America tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I know they're a very strong team. I haven't actually had a chance, since obviously I was not playing an invite this upcoming season, so I don't know how the new Froyo has really been performing, but I'm sure they've been doing quite well. But I have had the chance to ring for Luca Goers, which is the team I back up for, and Bird Noises is definitely a very strong team, and so I think it's going to be an exciting match to see this new lineup for Froyo versus this new to invite team.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go over the rosters before we get started tonight. froyotech, the new froyotech, has Free State on Medic, Patty on Pocket, Corsa on Roamer, Muma on Demo, and Banny on Scout, with Decimate as the other scout partner, but it appears that Clockwork's in the server for now. We'll talk about that later. And then for Bird Noises, we have Indust on Medic, Vol on Pocket, Hellbent on Roamer, Psy Guy on Demo, Train on Scout, and Vand on Scout. So both rosters looking pretty good. I'd say that froyotech is a strong roster. But yeah, let's talk about this thing where Clockwork's in the server right now. So I guess with froyotech, they've been having some issues in the last couple weeks. So those of you guys who haven't been following the new froyotech roster, it's not the same as last season's. All the players that were supposedly, playing on that 2-time world champion team have kind of gone away, and Banny picked up some new players for his team, but they haven't been practicing with their solid 6 recently.
Oh, they haven't. They've been I'm not aware of that development. I know they had recently switched Banny to Scout off of Pocket.
Right.
But I did not know about this them missing 6 scenario.
Yeah, they had Banny on Pocket, Corsa on Scout, and I can't even remember who their roamer was, because
they had Patty roamer.
Oh yeah, Patty was roaming, that's right. And then they just decided to swap it around. I guess Banny was stronger, that they needed that on Scout. Patty ends up being a really good replacement on Pocket, and Corsa's roaming is actually pretty good. He's got very solid DM. He plays on low ping, so he hits all of his shots. I've been spectating him recently, and he doesn't look as comfortable as other soldier mains do as far as the rocket jumping and the movement around goes, but he's very solid. He'll do a really good job. But yeah, they've been missing a player here and there. Like in the off season, Free State was on vacation for a little bit, so they didn't have him for a little bit of time, and then Decimate has been in and out. So it looks like Clockwork's in the server right now. I'm messaging him, I haven't heard back, but he's in the server, so I'm just double checking the roster to see that he's paid. I did not expect him to be playing tonight.
Yeah, I was not expecting this either. And with Clockwork playing, I honestly, that is a big player difference, to be honest, Lynn. I mean, Clockwork is a powerhouse, especially on a scout like on a class like Scout. I'm just getting all twisted in my words with this excitement for fresh TF2 gaming scenarios. And I think
everyone's clicking into the froyotech roster right now to see if it's confirmed. And yeah, Decimate is not paid up, and Clockwork is paid up. So it seems like they're going to be using Clockwork tonight, which is, like you said, it is an upgrade from Decimate. Decimate hasn't been as active as as Clockwork has in recent seasons. Although, Decimate and Clockwork have been competitors with each other at the top of North American TF2 for years. So I don't think it's like so much of an upgrade that it's ridiculous, but Clockwork is the best in the world at his class. So it's having Banny and Clockwork as your two scouts heading to this match tonight is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a difference maker for sure. But I mean, I want to go ahead and I don't see really. Oh, actually, the first of Bird Noises gets into the server now. But honestly, I would not be surprised to see, even with the addition of Clockwork, to see a very strong contention from the players Train and Vand, who are both very excellent scouts.
Yeah, they're very good. Here's the thing about Bird Noises for me is that they had a disappointing 4th place finish in IM last season, season 20. They were 14-2 in regular season, and then they finished 1-1 in the postseason. And for them, this is a building season. This is a growing season. I think for them, they're just happy to be playing an invite. And all these guys have been playing TF2 for quite some time. So, now that they're here, they finally made it. And this is their chance to prove themselves and to the rest of the North American scene that, they are strong contenders for, top 4 teams. I think for them, I don't think they're going to try and win invite this season. I think they're just going to try and go out there, put their best effort, and it's a building season for the next season, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but I still think this team can surprise a lot of people. Like, it is their building season, but I think that they have a lot of really strong players. Train and Psy in particular, I think are very, very standout players on this team. And I mean, we know Indus as well, obviously a decorated medic, been around a while.
Yeah,
so
Indus is a huge upgrade from their old medic, Matt B. So that's really great addition, and he's a really strong main calling presence for that team. So can't be wrong having him. He has really good mechanics. And then I also really like Hellbent on Roamer, actually, because on a team like Bird Noises, if you're going to be up against a team like froyotech where they're going to outclass you on a lot of different classes, you need that sort of X factor. You need that surprise factor that's going to jump out of somewhere and get 2 kills and maybe get your medic down or something like that. So having Hellbent, who is very, very good at jumping, very good at his mechanics, he can throw a wrench in froyotech's plans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think Hellbent, he's an active player. I feel like this team on a whole plays, they practice a little bit less consistently than the froyotech squad, because that's sort of why Banny assembled them. Is if I were to steal a Euro term, they're the keeners of NA. They're very, very keen to play this game, and they practice hard. But so does Bird Noises. But I think Hellbent is still also a power player when also compared to Patty's. I think he can still actually Patty's pocket now, so I guess it would be Corsa. So I think I think he has a lot of opening to do a lot of really cool things. We've seen some really cool roamer plays. Actually, I don't know if you watched the match last night, SLIN, between EVL Gaming. Actually, they're not Luca goers. I call them Luca goers.
Whoa, your mic just freaked out.
Did my mic freak out?
Yeah, your mic freaked out, but I did watch the match last night.
Yeah,
it is very exciting.
It was between EVL Gaming and a team and another actually intermediate team. And Bot Mode was the roamer, and he's already has a highlight up from that match, and he has some crazy stuff. And I'm expecting to see some crazy stuff from this match from the roamers too.
Yeah, EVL versus Running with Scissors, and
that was it.
Yeah, it was a close match. It was a good one. What I'm excited about for this season of TF2 is that the middle teams are very competitive, but also the upper teams are very competitive. Now that froyotech is dead and gone, and that team is no longer the strong, dominating powerhouse that they are, it's good to see that these top 4 teams this season will be competitive with each other. I've been looking at scrim results, and they've all been fairly close. I think Ascent is a notch above the rest. I think they have a little bit extra that the other teams don't have yet, right? And that's because they've been playing together for so long. They have a really solid roster. They've played together for so many seasons, very refined. These other teams are newer. They're newer rosters. They're newer groups of people that maybe they've played together before, but the chemistry still needs to build, and they don't have that refinement that Ascent has. So for them, that 2nd through 4th place will be very competitive as well here. And this is what we're going to see tonight. Potentially, I think froyotech, a lot of people are predicting them to go 2nd or 3rd place this season. Bird Noises maybe 4th or 5th place. So if Bird Noises can get a couple rounds here, that would be really good for them.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna beat froyotech, especially not with Clockwork here. But I think it'll be a good match anyways.
I definitely agree. I mean, last season, season 20, was a very competitive race for the fourth spot in particular, and I think this season it's in fact even more of a rat race per se, because it's just there's so much more up in the air. And I think there's so many more teams that are even more evenly matched than last season, with really the two longest continuous rosters being TSU and Ascent now. So I think it's gonna be a really interesting season.
Yeah. So let's talk about froyotech a little bit more, because ignoring the fact that Clockwork is on the team, I think that you have a bunch of players here who played together under a different name in the previous season, and then Banny sort of took them all under and put them under his brand, under froyotech. So really, it's called froyotech, but it's Banny's the addition to this team, right? These other guys have been playing together for some time. So now that Banny's on the team, you have a very strong, very, very strong threat. You have a strong leader, you have a captain, you have a mentor, and you have all these things that he brings to the table where he knows all the classes, so he can coach his team and shape it the way he likes with these up and coming players. I think with Bird Noises, that's a good strong pickup for them with Indust, but it's not the same presence when you have Indust on your team as you have when you have Banny on the team, because Indust is a medic main. He's always played medic, and he's very good at his class, but he's not as well-rounded as Banny is. So I think just from a leadership standpoint, I think Banny will just be a stronger presence on his team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Banny is just, the golden boy. Though many people used to give that term to the old demo dummy. But I think he's much more of the golden gamer at this day and age, considering his just overall skill and just how well-rounded he is on just about every class, and in TF2. So I think I think he definitely brings a lot to this team, because a lot of these players, when you look at like Patty and Muma and Corsa, they're very up-and-coming players with a lot of talent. But a lot of times when you see, for TF2 in particular, is that there's a disparity in the level of play between the top veterans and some of the newer up-and-coming talent. And Banny brings a lot of that to this team.
Yeah, keeps them in line, because you got a lot of memers on froyotech, especially with Muma. You got to watch out for that troublemaker.
Memery, top memery.
Yeah, but in all honesty, you're right. A lot of the guys on froyotech are younger. They're breaking into the scene. They're making a name for themselves, and like you said, they have a lot of talent. They can hit the shots. They can make moves, but they lack that refinement that comes with experience, that comes with time, where they know exactly what to do in every single situation, where they don't make these sort of mistakes that you'll see from these top two teams, like you said, in Ascent and TSU. I think froyotech and TSU is a lot closer than TSU and Ascent. So I just think that this team has so much potential this season to grow. And what I really want to see from them, and this is the first match of the season, there's so much time left for these guys to get better. I want to see them, put their time in, really work at it, and get good. But one of the things that we're seeing from froyotech already is that they're switching up their roster. I mean, just 2 weeks ago they had a different roster. Now they're changing roles, and now they're subbing in guys like Clockwork in instead for Decimate. So that inconsistency in the roster will make it difficult to build that chemistry.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it can very much hinder swapping out players a lot.
Yeah,
but I mean, they do have an advantage, saying they have Clockwork and Decimate with Banny, and they're players that, even if they haven't necessarily, Clockwork and Banny at least, have been on a team for a very long period of their TF2 careers. Definitely. And Decimate's a veteran player that's played with a variety of teams, most notably Ascent before this, before he took his break. So I think even if they're not necessarily used to playing together, they have enough veteran experience and individual experience between them that it won't be necessarily as bad as if they were replacing their roster with just entirely new talent.
Right. Well, if this was the end of the season where they're in playoffs and they just happen to substitute Clockwork in for one of their players, that would be amazing, right? That would be such a good situation for them, because Clockwork is so good at his class. It'll just dominate, and that you need that sort of clutch player on your team to win new matches. In the early parts of the season, that's when you want to be building up this chemistry. That's when you want to be setting the foundation for the rest of your season. And froyotech's off to a rocky start, but I think they'll have no problem here tonight against Bird Noises. Meanwhile, Bird Noises, they have their solid 6 that they've been playing for some time. I agree with you. I think Train is really good on Scout. I really like Guy on Demo. And I think they have a lot of talent there. The weak thing for them is that the pacing will be an issue. I think that if you see froyotech, they have that experience. They see an opening, they're just going to pounce and they're going to roll it all the way through. I think that Bird Noises will be a lot more tentative. I think they'll be a little bit more scared. They'll be a lot more conservative, and they're not going to take the same risks because they're not willing to lose as much. So if you see them take mids, if you see them go ahead in rounds or they get to the 4th point or something like that, they're going to play it nice and slow. They're not going to risk rolling a smaller advantage and try and snowball that into something larger. They're going to just try and play off guaranteed one-man advantages or a clear Uber Force or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Bird Noises is, as shown from their play in IM last season, that they're a relatively conservative team with how they play. And we'll probably see that a lot because we see a lot of play from Psy in particular that plays a very, very passive demo role. And what looked like a pregame pod, but I think they've fixed it. Also, I'm looking at the chat and apparently my microphone is it's popping at random occasions.
It does
so
that, yeah.
I apologize for those technical difficulties. I will try to invest at some point in a new microphone for this glorious casting career so I can transmit my voice in a more pleasant manner to our wonderful, beautiful viewers who I appreciate tuning in to this second, because as you know, I'm a big name in the scene as guest. So
I'm so surprised they haven't fixed that, by the way.
Like, to the table.
It's like a question mark. You just don't know. It's the X factor you're bringing to the cast. Like, who is that guy? Who is Avast? Why is he on the cast? But for those of you guys who don't know, yeah, well, for those of you guys who don't know who Guest is, he brings a lot of invite experience to the table. He brings a lot of TF2 experience. We're so glad to have him here as we start off this first match between froyotech and Bird Noises. And then, like I said, right afterwards, we'll watch Ascent versus TSU. This is a good night at TF2, guys. We're glad you're here to join us as we get started.
Who do you want to watch? Anyone in particular on this mid SLIN?
I want to watch everybody. I want to watch everyone, and most particularly, I want to watch Hellbent because, like we said, he needs to be the guy who is creating opportunities for his team. And Snakewater is one of those maps where you really gotta. I mean, I think if Bird Noises are gonna win this, Hellbent's got to go big here. So it looks like he's gonna go for the top left rollout, and they're gonna play it nice and slow. Both teams sort of feeling each other out, and red team stacking a lot of members to the top left side. Neither team jumping soldiers in yet. They're kind of just feeling it out here. As Corsa goes in for that jump, he immediately goes down. And also froyotech are down a player in the server. So it's a 5-on-6 mid for them. Not to mention the fact they just lost 3 players in this fight. So Banny and Free State are going to try and run it out alive. Free State running underneath through Africa down to the pit. There's a soldier chasing him. That's Hellbent trying to get back there, but he's not going to be able to find it. Free State's back to last. But yeah, you said that pregame pause of Avast coming into play here.
Yeah, it seemed to be Patty that had crashed. And which is a big deal on Snakewater mid because being down that soldier to control the height is a really big problem on this mid. Yeah, and it just seems like down that player and Corsa gets mulched really early by a Bandit Hellbent on the top right of the mid did not go well for them, so they just had to leave.
Right. So we were talking about how they're going to play it slow, and the Bird Noises are going to play it slow if they get ahead, and right now they have control of the round, so they're just going to sacrifice Trainer, and he's probably going to go to an off-class. Sniper is the most likely choice, and we haven't been seeing teams run a lot of Spy lately. It looks like froyotech are actually feeling out a push here. They don't want to wait for Trainer to respawn and come back as a Sniper. They're looking to peek through Z, they're looking around the lobby, and actually they have a soldier out here on second point that is Psy Guy. Sorry, not Psy Guy. Who is that? Patty, who's going here, the solo Uber on second point. Looks like Vol's going to jump behind them into lobby and try and draw a couple players back, but he's in a lot of trouble down to 15 health, and Banny's going to get that kill there. But froyotech have a lot of hurt members on their team. This is actually ending kind of a risky push for them, and it looks like Trainer gets one onto Banny there, so Bird Noises are actually getting the picks that they want, but now here comes back froyotech. Corsa, Patty, Clockwork all getting kills as Muma bombs in deep to kill. Oh, Clockwork gets the headshot onto Psy Guy, and that's going to wipe Bird Noises. Froyotech get that successful push out of last.
Yeah, that was a really, it was looking really good for Bird Noises there, but they just happened to play around Clockwork very well and pick off those players. and then it just ended up that slow, steady pressure. And Trainer is in the forward spawn, but he gets picked off by Clockwork because Clockwork does not let heads go unpopped.
Well, we were talking about how having Clockwork on your team instead of Decimate is an upgrade, and right now we're seeing the results of that as Clockwork is hitting massive air shots left and right, and really just keeping these picks moving forward for froyotech. They're already in on 4th point. Midcap's going to go down, and there's no one in the forward spawn for the red team, so they have absolutely no threats here on 2nd point. Indust down 60%. And looks like Free State wants to begin moving into the last point right side. And we've been seeing teams moving quickly because they don't want to allow teams to set up sentry guns. There's a sentry gun level 1 on the bottom left by Shaq. A Psy guy already down. The rest of the blue team coming in here. Sentry gun dies and looks really bad here for Bird Noises. The bomb right onto Indus. He's in no position to heal anybody as another soldier bombs in to help out. Corsa gets the kill onto Indus. They're going to stack the point here. And froyotech looking pretty good to clean up the round. Free State, Uber saw out. Ooh. Helps take down Vol. They're slapping around on the point, and that's going to be the first round for froyotech, 1-0.
Wow, that was actually a lot sloppier than it should have been for Froyo, to be honest. Like, they picked off Psy so early, and they still almost lost that push. Like, by the time that they had just managed to melee down that last scout on the point, the spawners were coming in for Bird Noises, so that was really close for Froyo, actually.
It was really close. Yeah, but froyotech still get the round closed out there, and we head into the 2nd mid. It looks like Bird Noises are going for a slightly different rollout this time, and
yeah, it's gonna be
they're not stacking as hard. Well, there's a soldier behind that's hellbent on the 2nd point already for Bird Noise. He's stuck behind there in Saw, and it looks like froyotech knows that he's there. They're gonna push forward and ignore him. Now they're turning around. They realize the threat is there as Van, as the rest of the team are pushing forward. Vol jumps in to try and help out. Hellbent's still back there poking away. 2-on-2 trade for either team. Looks like Indus is gonna get separated away from his team. Down and lower, gonna grab the health pack there as Corsa trades with Van. froyotech have a lot of point presence here, but Hellbent is still behind. He jumps in. Patty taking a couple rockets here, but still loses the fight. With nice job by Free State to help get that kill there. So it looks like froyotech win middle, but they're not getting any capture time here, Avast. They're still moving.
Yeah, well, they're just hoping for their scouts to respawn a fight, but it's a pretty dangerous proposition what they're doing here. Yeah, they need to back out because it was just them two versus the entire Bird Noises team here on 2nd. And I think they realize that, and they're going back to get this cap time with their returning scouts. And it was, once again, kind of a sloppy mid with that, you know, Hellbent going behind and putting a lot of pressure on the flank and just putting a lot of, like, making them turn around. But we're actually going to be seeing them push through lower now to fight them here on 2nd.
Yeah, and it's even Ubers. They're not going to go for the classic sacrifice play. They're already pushing forward. Clockwork making space on top of that fence. He takes down Trainer, and the Uber's going to get forced from Indus. This is a very bad Uber here for Bird Noises. The better Uber's going to pop in for froyotech. They're chasing the combo down through lower, through the pit, and Indus trying his best to surf away, but Bandy's going to get the kill there, and they're just cleaning up all these frags underneath last point. Only 2 players alive for Bird Noises. It looks like they're going to get cleaned up. Muma already bombing into last and sticking up that spawn door. Traps it up, and the rest of the team is going to stack the point for the cap, and froyotech have a very clean round here, 2-0.
Yeah, that was a lot more conventional of a Froyo push than what I was expecting before. They just cleaned up all the flank players that are away from Indus's Uber because it was a very poor pop, not really great location to get players in. And they just picked them off with their flank, and then just left an isolated combo and just pushed right in. So a pretty standard play from Froyo, to be honest, just really abusing the flank players and their vulnerability.
Yeah, and you can just see the power of froyotech right here. That's the quality of players they have. They're just outplaying Bird Noises. They already did taking height control. They have control of their own kitchen as well here. And they're trying their best to poke forward. This scout combo they have, Banny Clockwork, is so scary as the bomb comes in from Hellbent and Vol to try and make that space. They actually get a couple kills here. Looking pretty good for them. They take down Muma and Banny, and now they're collapsing onto the enemy combo. froyotech in a bit of trouble, actually. Free State's gonna have to run out here by a Saw. He's playing with Clockwork. Clockwork still wants to challenge it, but it is a 3v2. And it looks like the blue combo, froyotech, are backing off a bit. There's a demo man in behind to get the force, but Clockwork is getting a lot of kills here, actually. This is a good Uber from them.
Clockwork just ate up both the scouts from Bird Noises there. It was actually, I saw Clockwork with the heal beam, and I saw the 2 scouts, and I thought to myself, Slinjamin, I was like, this is not going to go well for the opposing scout. And Clockwork just ate them up, and he's going to continue along his merry way of just getting like 40 kills during this game. And it was just not a good time for them.
he is just a carrying force on this team. We talked last season about how Clockwork is the big playmaker for froyotech, and he's still so good right now. As Corsa goes in deep, wow, taking down Van and opening up the play here for froyotech. They're going to stack off second point and get that capture point down. Even Uber's here, but Van down for another 13 seconds. This is a power play moment for froyotech, and we've already seen that they're willing to push on standard Ubers. They're willing, or on even Ubers, even numbers. So I'm expecting them to push here. They're peeking out of the shutter door. There's a trap on that shutter. I don't know if Clockwork knows it's there yet. Corsa taking down Hellbent. I guess they're going to sacrifice Banny in there as well. They're just going to keep throwing in players at each other. They're going to go in with this Uber now. Indus does have his, though. They're going to pop up slightly better Uber here for the red team as they begin chasing out towards the shutter door. There looks like they're peeking in towards lobby as well. Free State running his little tail away towards battlements, and they're going to reset for a second point hold.
Actually, I'm going to be thinking Birdnoise is going to push really aggressively. They had a much better Uber exchange, getting 2 players with a player before that, and they're actually coming out here onto the second. They mulch Moom at the moment. He does get Van. Of course, is flying around on Indus's head, and he gets picked up. And now they're going to be on Free State. I think Free State's going to be cleaned up here, and it might even be... no, he's flying, and he's on top of the... What a good serve. Clockwork is bit. Oh my goodness, is Free State going to get out?
Oh, but Free State should be able to die here. Yeah, he gets finished off by Vol. Really nicely done there by Birdnoise, actually, because you can see that froyotech are relying heavily on their DM, their mechanics, their abilities to outplay. They're just getting in there and getting messy, but Birdnoises are playing the standard game. They're using their number advantage, they're collapsing, they're focus firing properly, and they're actually getting a lot of kills this way. With Free State dying so late in that fight, Indus is going to have a huge Uber advantage here. Yeah,
it's going to be that was a very, very good hold from, actually, well, a really poor push from Froyo to a really good push from Birdnoises, and we're going to be seeing here push, but actually, Corsa is going to pick up Hellbent low.
Oh, wow!
On Sniper gets Indus. What, SLIN? Oh my
Huge pick there by Clockwork. He was sniping from Z, and he gets that kill onto Indus. Another kill from Banny and Clockwork. 2 of them going down, and looks like Van and Saiga are the only ones remaining. Van goes for the suicide play, and Saiga is all the way back on middle, setting a trap. But froyotech resists that hold there, and is all thanks to Clockwork. He has been ridiculous on Sniper in this match.
He has. He's been a really big difference maker. I think every time he gets on Sniper, it's a bad... It's not generally good to be in his sight lines, because he doesn't miss generally.
And a lot of people talk up how good Banny is, but if you just look at the points on the board here, Clockwork has double the points that Banny has, and you can just see just how well Clockwork is doing. He's getting so many frags, but not just frags in general, key frags. He got that kill on the Indus as they were making that push into second point. Really nicely done. Looks like there's a bomb here.
Yeah, Hellbent actually tried to bomb out there. Kind of an ill-advised bomb, to be honest. I mean, you just right into the scouts, but... So now they're going to be pushing this last one. They're 1 down. He's not going to be up for 10 seconds, and Froyo's going to take advantage of this. Coming through this left shutter, getting a little bit juggled. They do have a gun, but it's only level 1. And Side's going to go down again, which is not good. This is really bad. And then Clockwork picked up Vol, too.
Yeah, and now it's just academic for froyotech to clean this up. They're locking down that right side shutter door. They're getting some capture time now. Red team trying to block this, but they're down so many numbers, and it should be a froyotech round here. 3-0 as we enter the end of the first half and go into halftime. And we were expecting froyotech to win this, but I certainly wasn't expecting them to win so one-handedly.
Yeah,
one-sidedly. Yeah,
I think it's a lot of it has been because these last holds in particular, where I've seen 2 different last holds now, where Sai has been picked off on that side when they're pushing in through shutter. It should be, you shouldn't be picked off as demo when you're holding that, because you should be holding far enough that you're juggling them with stickies and your primary. So it's been pretty unlucky, or maybe poor placement from Sai to get picked off, because it's so important to have the demo on really just about any last. So I think those lasts could have gone a lot better.
The last holds, you mean?
Yeah, the last holds. The last holds in particular.
And Hellbent tried to go for a force on second point because he had the right idea. They were down 50%. And Hellbent had to make a move, but you saw that the rest of Birdnoises were back on last, so Hellbent's just solo bombing 1 into 6 people. It's not going to go that well. You need the rest of the team to push up there and create a distraction for Hellbent's sacrifice to work.
Yeah, definitely. So, it was, I mean, it would have been better, I mean, if he did a solo bomb, like, from a more creative angle, but he sort of just went balls to the wall, per se, out through lobby, just directly into their faces, which is just, I mean, you're not going to bomb directly into Banny and Clockwork and expect to live generally.
Well, they're going to try. It's going to be the second half here as we see froyotech off against Birdnoises. And it's been 3-0 thus far. It's been super one-sided. There's been some opportunities for Birdnoises to convert rounds, especially in that first round when froyotech were 5 versus 6, but they haven't converted a single round yet as the Devilmen get to mid and start poking each other. And froyotech have been pretty aggressive in these middles. Let's see if they do it again. They're already hitting a lot of rockets to start things off. And yeah, it looks like Patty's going to go in, get behind. Sorry, Course is going to go in and get behind. And doesn't seem like Bird Noises cares. They're just going straight across the point, getting Muma and Free State down. 4-on-4. Actually, pretty good trading here from Bird Noises. Both their scouts still alive. Now they're going to fight the other 2 scouts on point. Looks like Banny does get trained down. Trades there. Now it's a 1-for-1. Hellbent versus Clockwork, but Clockwork wins there, getting the last 2 frags of the middle, and that's going to be the mid for froyotech.
Yeah, that was, I think it was a little bit of a better mid from Bird Noises in that they showed a lot of concentrated aggression at one side of the point instead of trying to play like the pick off people through spam and being kind of passive game. And Sai got a really good pipe that picked off both Muma and the medic, I believe, and then their scouts sort of played the DM fight after that. But eventually, I mean, I think it just came down to the fact that it had a lot better health on Froyo at the end of the fight. And we're actually going to be pushing through lower here, SLIN. Froyo is very, very aggressive. They're getting tons of Muma actually goes down to Sai, and they're fighting in this lower yard, which is really, really bad. Really poor position. Banny's about to go down. I think Patty's about to go down too. And this is going to be a repush here from Bird Noises.
This is so nice from Bird Noises. As soon as Muma went down to that trap from Sai Guy, Bird Noises knew they were going to win this fight. They committed to the yard. They got all the frags there. This is really nicely done. There's no players behind for the red team. They're just clearing all the doorways. This is perfectly executed there by Bird Noises and punishing froyotech appropriately because typically you don't see teams dry push like that through lower yard on a 5-on-5 evens.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive play. And actually we're seeing a bomb out of Hellbent who gets a really nice air shot onto Patty, but I mean, since Patty has 300 HP and he does not, he gets sort of mulched in the end. But a really good air shot.
And he's actually giving froyotech an opportunity to push in the middle here with that man advantage. They're starting to move through Catwalk, but it looks like Sai is doing a good job of shutting that down and forces Free State very early. Clockwork gets another kill in the van though, puts Bird Noises 2 players down, plus Sai Guy's 8 health, so he's not going to be much in the fight here. As the better Uber in from Bird Noises trying to convert some frags. They do kill the Free State, the heals. They do kill their medic, but Corsa's in here now, getting Trainer, getting in Dust, and banning in with the collapse to take down Hellbent. Froyotech going to go up a huge in numbers now, and this should be the mid retake for Froyotech.
That is what I would like to call in the business, SLIN, a poo-poo Uber exchange, because it was a better Uber, but it was not. They did nothing with it. It was sort of just like, oh, we've popped and now we're shiny, but that's about it. All Froyotech did was scatter, and they just re-collapsed on them on the hut, and it was just an absolute massacre. And actually, Clockwork just walks in, and with the help of Muma kills Train. And now Banny's fighting Van, and he gets picked off by Sai, actually. And we're going to see a really hotly contested fight here on second.
It's very close. Not quite sure which team's coming out on top. It looks like Clockwork, though, is the first one to get the kill onto Hellbent. And looks like the red team are just fielding the incoming bombers. Bird Noises tried to jump into the enemy combo, tried to get Free State down. And Froyotech were able to just hold that off there. They backed off every time that bomber came in there. They got all the kills. And there's 5 players dead for Bird Noises. Not looking good for them. There's already a cap started on last point. Trainer's going to go down to Corsa, and that's going to be the 4th round for Froyotech. Match point.
That is, that was actually a great fight with that trade. And Hellbent had a really good flank from lower, but they just didn't have the best positioning. They didn't hit their shots that they needed to when they took that fight. And that's just what it came down to, is that there's a lot better coordinated DM from Froyo, a little bit more shot hitting.
I think it's just kind of, it's not disrespectful, but, Froyotech are showing that they're not scared in this matchup. They're willing to just go head-to-head, and they know that they're the better players. They're already getting the kill on mid as Muma picking up that top right scout van. Looks like the double bomb is in for Bird Noises, but they're going to lose their medic back there behind them, and Froyotech are on the way to winning this match. So dominant. Sai Guy backing up by himself. There's a scout behind him. That's Banny. Gonna corner him and keep him in play. And there's soldiers in here with the shotgun out, and Banny Patty finish off Sai Guy. So Froyotech get themselves another mid, and they do this thing that's so weird. They don't even cap middle point. They're just interested in getting frags and padding their stats.
Well, they see the opportunity. I mean, the chasing. Sometimes it's a lot better to just chase the frag than it is to get the cap, because it could be it's a lot harder to come push into second, because they're going to be able to push into second for sure now with this with these equal Ubers, but now Sai won't be necessarily set up in time if they were actually wanting to do it aggressively, which I don't think they will, but I think showing Froyo's pattern so far, they're sort of peeking in and want to push loose off.
Yeah, they're already beginning that left side peek. They kill Hellbent, who's off by himself. And look at the comp for Bird Noise. They're nowhere nearby. Hellbent was out there by himself going for that bomb, and Bird Noises have left him for dead. So it looks like froyotech are in here on 4th point, getting the capture down already, and they have a slight Uber advantage that they can work with here. About 20%, which should be good enough for them to get into last and make some work with it. Plus, Hellbent isn't responding for another couple seconds. So froyotech already to start and move their way through right lobby, peeking that shutter door. There's a trap there, though, and Psy Guy kills Patty with those stickies, so that's going to halt the push for now.
Yeah, but Vol just... he just goes back in and counter-suicides in not a great manner. And actually, Banny goes and dies on Shutter too, so this is actually really, really good for Bird Noise. And they're going to catch a Patty. Oh, no, that was Corsa. They're going to they should push right here.
He did a great job. He saw Corsa was overextended. froyotech have backed themselves off the 2nd point. They're down 2 players here, and Bird Noises want to go. They lose Psy Guy, and Indus is running around trying to get away from the froyotech players that have gotten behind and past the team. He's going to force Uber on last point by himself. Flashes Trainer, but the damage is done. He used Uber, and Free State now walking into last with his huge Uber advantage. Should be able to end the match. Free State popping Uber off by himself here as Clockwork's in to help him out. There's Clockwork searching for kills. Now the rest of froyotech joining in to get these frags. Now they take down Vol on top of the point. Now they're trying to collapse in and force some pressure here, but they're down a lot of players, and the respawns from Bird Noises are cleaning house. So Bird Noises were able to resist that. Yeah.
Excuse me. Okay, that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible.
Sloppy. It's sloppy.
In every way. Every way. There is no excuse from Froyo to not get that last. Like, I can't even comprehend. Like, the Indus pop and the entire ring around the rosy of chasing Indus by Muma was just like, oh, I can't even describe it. But now they're actually reaching 2nd right here. And it's going to be a scrappy de-invite. Psy goes down to a nice pipe for Muma, and it looks like they're actually going to be retreating Bird Noises here with a lot of good pressure, and they're going to pick off Van. Train is behind.
Well, and they're not dealing with the threats here. Corsa went for a huge bomb, and then he still survived with 10 health. And meanwhile, Bird Noises have backed off and have just given up so much space. froyotech are just consuming all of that there. So Hellbent and Van are still down. It's going to even out the Ubers here. And froyotech, we've seen them do solo Uber, even number pushes into last. We might expect more of the same here, or maybe they might do a sacrifice play with Corsa again. But regardless, this is a really nice push from froyotech to take 4th.
Yeah, I would like to see actually some sort of off class, maybe a sniper. But it looks like they're choosing not to do the off class.
No, they have a sniper.
No, I know. I'm not talking about. I'm saying Bird Noise. I think Bird Noise needs one. Since if I was Bird Noises, I would expect the Clockwork sniper since he had been since he had been picked. But
they're actually doing something really interesting. They're going for a really forward hold. I think Indus already knows Clockwork's on sniper. He's got that spidey senses, so he's back up against the wall, not giving Clockwork any angles. They're locking down lower and top right, which are the 2 doors that are most likely to see a sniper, and they do peek out Clockwork top right. So they're just gonna spam a lot of rockets into him and try and stall out the match. But time's not really in their favor. They're down 4 rounds, and they don't have much time to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, well, the half did just start, so they have pretty much better part of a half, but it's 4 rounds and they're on their last, and Clockwork is just no respecting, peeking in and just trying to gat him down here. And actually, we're going to see Patty and Hellbent trade, and Psy's being very, very aggressive in this lobby, sort of just fighting them very, very hard here, which is foolhardy, really, because Clockwork could beat him up at any moment. And they're actually going to, wow, a really bad pop from Froyo here. They popped really early. Free State's very weak.
Yeah, now Banny trying desperately to get a force out of Indus. He does get it, but goes down, and that's going to put froyotech down a player here, and unfortunately, Bird Noises weren't able to find any other frags with that Uber. They had such a better pop, but they only got Banny at last, but they're going to start pushing out anyways. There's that sniper in window as Hellbent goes for the aggressive bomb to push Clockwork out of there. Looks like Corsa's in to try and help out with the kill, and they do get Vol down, but the rest of Bird Noises have filled into the 2nd point, and they're getting that capture. Down 2 players now here. This is actually looking really bad for Bird Noises.
They did a good job though of getting it and getting out though, because Vol did the right. It was actually Vol that bombed him there in the window, and he did a good thing because he brought a lot of pressure and he made a soldier go back. But actually, Froyo is re-pushing here on this last very aggressively. They haven't even gotten 2nd yet. They're letting, oh my goodness, very scrappy. Train will go down to Clockwork. Neither side has Uber yet. Free State is very close though. He's gonna pop as soon as he gets it, I think. Yeah, he's gonna pop right now. But it's been a much better DM exchange from Bird Noises here. Clockwork is still alive, fully scoped up.
Yeah, and look at Patty going straight in for Indus. Indus didn't take a single point of damage though, and froyotech have lost virtually all their players. And when all you have is a sniper and a medic with 0% Uber, you don't really have much to defend 2nd point with. So they're gonna back off of that. But you never really want to count Clockwork out of this. He's peeking window, and he does get pushed off. Looks like Corsa is able to turn a frag over by Saw. So froyotech might go for that push. Actually, they do force Indus there and back it off. They're going to kite away the super.
That was a very, in my opinion, poor pop from Indus. He wasn't weak at all, actually, unless he grabbed the pack. I think he just tried to do it aggressively into stop, but they just ran away. So now they're here with a pretty big Uber disad and with Train being down, be coming up soon, and they're going to be pushing very aggressively. So Corsa will go down.
Yeah, Saigai's been getting a lot of trap kills on this second point, surprisingly, as Vol goes for a bomb in and gets picked off by Banny and Patty. And froyotech just need to stall a little bit longer because they needed to get their medic up, but they actually lost their medic in that bomb. So froyotech now are going for a desperation play. It looks like Saigai is able to kill with the sign down in the pit. So they're going to push back Clockwork out in Saw. And looks like Bird Noises want to get in the middle. They find Clockwork, and they're wandering in. Looks like Muma's in behind, but Hellbent gets the kill, the trade. So they're going to start middle capture. They don't realize that there's a soldier behind them,
is behind. Yeah, he's going to be... I think he's going to wait for the... He's actually just going to try to go for the medic here, I think. He's going to
he gets it!
Good pick from Corsa.
Yeah, those cheese plays. That's exactly what froyotech needed in that moment, because Bird Noises were about to get their first round, or potentially their first round. They had such a large advantage. They had middle cap, but nice play there by Corsa to get the medic down. And froyotech now could begin pushing in the middle with that heal, with that sustain advantage.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're just going to retake it. Sai does have a trap up, but it's not really in any position that Froyo is coming through. So I'm expecting for Froyo to possibly push Sauce and say no, that Bird Noises is lower and they're just now rotating. They do have a pretty large Uber advantage against Inda, and I think they're just going to try to go aggressively here through Saw because Sai is not currently watching there, so they can definitely do it. They'll be peeking here now to come in.
Yeah, 60% advantage from froyotech as the bomb comes in from Hellbent. Does get the force out of Free State. Nicely done. froyotech are going to begin chasing upper lobby. There's not really much there for them. They don't have second point down either, but they're going to try and go for Indus down to 17, and Patty with that bomb is able to finish off Indus. Now there's a little bit of a scrappy fight here on last point as the two soldiers from froyotech are trying the best to turn some frags with the remainder of this. froyotech 3-on-3. They're going to begin walking down the deep left, and Clockwork is already finding Trainer to start things off. There's a respawning soldier, that's Hellbent, who went for that bomb earlier, misses the air shot on Amuma, and Clockwork's able to get another one there on the van. So it looks like froyotech might go back in with Clockwork still in committing to this. He's actually getting another kill. He kills Saigai. That's a 3K for Clockwork, and froyotech are filling it.
Oh my goodness, they're gonna get this cap. Oh my goodness. Wow. That was a really aggressive move from Muma there, because he went in pretty much alone, just with Free State against like 3 Bird Noises members, but he was confident in his health and his ability to bully him off the point with Sai being dead, and just you know, ran straight to the point, piped him off, just a little ploop, and he flew away, and then just walked right on. And it was a pretty dominant match, I would say, from Froyo. Like, how long did that last? I don't know, not very long compared to our match.
It was a 25-minute match. Yeah, 25.5-minute match. So about 5 minutes per round, but it was very one-sided. Indust did have one drop in this match, but I think it was all froyotech the entire time, and mostly Clockwork. I think that guy is still ridiculous at this game. 32-10 was his kill death ratio, and 325 damage done per minute. He topped the servers. So you have a substitute player like that. Yeah, that's very solid.
Solid match. If I were to reiterate a term I had used in the ESEA Grand Finals, I believe it was he pounded them. He pounded them. It was heavy pounding.
And not
a quarter pounder, full pounder.
Well, like that last round there, he just went in there, got a 3K, you know, all by himself, basically, just running around, running circles around the enemy team. They just couldn't stop that guy. So he's just so good at this game. And like we're talking about earlier, time will tell how this works out for froyotech, because yes, it was a 5-0. Yes, it was super dominant, but it was a little sloppy here and there. Wouldn't you agree?
And it was definitely sloppy. There was at least 2 pushes that I can specifically think of, especially the one where Indust was very weak with Uber and like spiraled out of control into the lower areas of Snakewater second to run back to last before eventually dropping like 2 people and then popping, and then somehow Froyo with full Uber advantage and player advantage pushing last with against no Uber still managed to not get the point. And it was there that I just had like a mini like aneurysm like in the microphone, because I couldn't understand like what had transpired to Froyo to where they could not achieve that last objective in the TF2 objective game.
I mean, Clockwork is such a game-changing player. If they didn't have Clockwork, I think this would have been a much different match. Free State, pretty standard 5 deaths is actually very good for Medic, but the rest of the players down the board had 1-to-1 KDs. Corsa's 19 and 16, Banny 18 and 17, Patty 16 and 12, Muma 15 and 9, which is decent, But I don't think that any of them had standout performances. It was really all Clockwork the entire time, whether he was on sniper getting key picks or just running in by himself as a scout and absolutely turning the tide of battle. I think it's just a different match when you have Clockwork on froyotech. Now, if they had Decimate there, I'm not saying Decimate's a bad player. It's just that Clockwork is ridiculous.
And apparently, I'm being told that Banny did sub 200 DPM. I'm gonna go check these log
No, he had 243.
myself.
No, that's
I did 243. Ooh, because I was about to say that in itself would have been momentous in its occasion to see Banny with less than 200 DPM or less. To be honest. I cannot remember the last time Banny's done, even then 240 is not a lot compared to what Banny is usually putting out. But I think it was, a fun game, some fun moments, but overall, it was it was kind of pretty one-sided. They just ran over them with respect. They just trampled them, to be honest. Yeah. And I think a lot of it just shows that, the strength of the froyotech roster and the experience with their players. So I'm hoping that Bird Noises, even if they're not necessarily a top 1 or 2 team, I think they can still contend for the 3rd or 4th spot. I wouldn't count them out based off this performance.
Well, the top 3 teams are looking pretty crowded. With froyotech having that strong performance like we saw tonight, we're actually going to see the other 2 teams that are going to be in the top 2. That's going to be Ascent and TSU, and we're going to watch that match starting in about 15 minutes. So don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be watching the top 2 teams in North America face off, if you didn't count froyotech as one of those top 2. And this should be a really good match for everyone to see. But yeah, like you said, Avast, I think it was a great match. I thought that froyotech did a very good job. It was one-sided, but I think it's sloppy. I still want to see froyotech put in the time to clean it up and make sure that this is just a flawless performance. When you play a team like Bird Noise, it should just be flawless. There shouldn't be that sort of back and forth, unless they're just kind of goofing around. And maybe that's just the team style they have. Maybe they have the kind of guys on their team where they're just kind of they're 4-0, they're so far ahead, they're just kind of comfortable and having a good time with it, and as video games should be. But I would have liked to see a cleaner match.
Yeah, I agree. But it was a good match to herald in for the second match of the invite season. And I think this match coming up between TSU and Ascent is actually going to be a really big one, because it's, as I mentioned earlier, the 2 longest, the continuous rosters that are standing in ESEA Invite Season 21 for TF2.
Yeah.
And
would you say that this match is a little? Would you say it's going to be a showstopper, or would you say it's a little bit more rando?
Are you saying which player is going to have more of an impact, or are you trying to say that the match itself is going to be a show-stopping match? Is it going to stop the show? Or which meme are you trying to throw at me, SLIN?
I don't know. I'll just give you one of those shuggers.
I don't know. I saw Rando in a DM server earlier, and he said that I should talk him up. And if you've seen Rando, he's a scary-looking dude. He looks like Wreck-It Ralph, and I don't want to be on his bad side. But at the same time, Showstopper has a legion of memeing minions that he could sick on me at any moment. And so I'm afraid to criticize either one of these players. So yeah, I'm really excited. We'll just see. I think it's going to be a good match, though.
Cool. Well, let's take a little bit of a break. We'll be back here in 12 and a half minutes to watch Ascent versus TSU. Don't go anywhere.